Here's what went down in the Diddy trial this week.
And a major development in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs today, the judge dismissing a juror over concerns about his candor.
And for the first time, jurors were shown graphic video of sexual encounters at the heart of this case. Fox 8's Lisa Evers is live in Lower Manhattan with the very latest. Lisa.
Well, Natasha and Bianca, one juror was dismissed and a second, we've learned, is under scrutiny. Now, all of this comes as jurors saw for the first time actual videos of the alleged freak-offs, which were not visible to anyone in the courtroom. They wore headphones, and one juror who watched it reportedly winced as that video clip was playing. Now, Diddy's attorneys went into court this morning hoping to keep a 41-year-old black man on the jury. They even wrote a 14-page letter to the judge over the weekend detailing why. But this morning, Judge Arun Subramanian dismissed the juror for conflicting statements about whether he lived in New York or New Jersey. He was replaced by an alternate, a 57-year-old white male accountant from Westchester. Today, we saw what are called summary witnesses take the stand. They're professional people who offer a big picture, simplified overview of the volumes of evidence, including text messages, files, cash transactions, and credit card receipts in this case. One summary witness described messages from the phone of Combs' former chief of staff alleging actions that appear to support the RICO charge, that Combs allegedly uses company workers to assist in a criminal enterprise. The text described large amounts of cash for escorts and asking employees to pick up drugs for him. This afternoon, a special agent with the U.S. Attorney's Office testified about credit card receipts, hotel bills, and escort services that Combs paid for allegedly with a credit card, and how employees would stock hotel rooms with freak-off supplies, including Gatorade, the drug Molly, and chicken noodle soup. Now, the judge is expected to make a decision about this second juror sometime this week, and we believe that the whole issue with the second juror is totally unrelated to the first juror who was dismissed, but may have to do with text messages or communications about the case. The judge strictly ordered the jury not to speak, talk, or message or communicate or any kind of communication with anyone about this case while it was going on.
Well, the prosecution expects to rest its case by the end of the week in the federal sex trafficking trial against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
This is tensions are flaring inside the courtroom. Fox 8's Lisa Evers is live in Lower Manhattan with more on today's developments. Lisa?
Well, Steve and Natasha, you can feel the growing tension and the growing pressure here. A furious judge blasting both prosecution and the defense about a sensitive courthouse leak. This comes as the jurors saw yet another clip from another freak-off video between Diddy and Cassie, as well as sometimes affectionate and loving text messages between the two, talking about planning their next freak-off. Now, this morning, Mrs. Janice Combs arrived here at the courthouse, as she does every morning for her son's trial. Only today was different. She sat alone in the courtroom, and there were no family members or close friends surrounding her as they usually do. The day began with Judge Arun Subramanian blasting prosecutors and defense lawyers for the media leak of sealed information known only to them. He threatened penalties for violating his gag order. A federal special agent was on the stand the entire day, detailing how Combs used his business credit cards to pay for damages to hotel rooms that happened after the freak-offs and to pay for male escorts and their travel expenses, including airfare and hotels. Jurors were the only ones who saw yet another clip of a freak-off with Combs and Cassie and many text messages between the couple, including a message from Combs a day after the 2016 hotel hallway beating, where he said to Cassie, "I'm so sorry." Cassie replied in part, quote, "I'd be a dummy to subject myself to that possibly happening again. I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child." Now, what was interesting about these text messages between the two, which took hours of testimony time today, was how casual they were. They were going back and forth. Cassie talking about what outfits she would wear, even postponing a freak-off that was supposed to happen a day before that hotel beating because she had different errands to do, like getting her nails done. And they talked about these freak-offs and setting them up the way a lot of couples would talk about what their dinner plans are, where they're going to go, what kind of food are they going to have. It was that casual. But we'll see what happens, and the prosecution saying they expect to wrap up their part of the case by Friday. We'll see if that in fact does happen.
All right, now to the latest on the federal sex trafficking trial against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
The trial facing a bit of a setback today with a juror getting sick and forcing court to get canceled.
All right, Fox 5's Lisa Evers, of course, has been following all the ins and outs of the trial. She is here with us. So what exactly happened today? Yet another development here.
Everybody's in court. You know, it's a little after 9 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's in court, ready to get going. The judge announces that a juror called in sick with vertigo. So that raised a lot of questions. People are like, wait a minute, what? And the testimony for today was canceled, and that it will resume on Friday morning, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is Thursday is the Juneteenth holiday, federal holiday.
Yeah. And then what happens Friday? It's a half day?
And then Friday is a half day because one of the jurors, which she had said early on in the jury selection process, we heard it in the court then, it's her son's graduation. So the judge said, that's no reason for you not to be on the jury. We will accommodate you as a mother to go to your son's graduation. But this is a lot of jury drama all in a short period of time. Remember, last week we had the one juror who was dismissed.
Kicked off, right,
conflicting ideas about his address. Another juror is still under scrutiny for allegedly talking about the case with outside people. And then now this. Now, the defense wanted the trial to continue with an alternate, but the judge said it appears to be a one-day situation. After a day of rest, the juror should be able to resume. So we'll see what happens Friday morning.
Is there any indication that Diddy's going to take the stand himself?
Natasha, this is the million-dollar question. Everybody's asking it. Everybody's asking me down there. And it looks like a big no. The defense has expressed that they think their section of the trial, their part of the case, will take about 2 to 5 days. And so if Diddy were to be on the stand, most of the legal experts I spoke with said that they expect that would take much longer because there would be a lot of questions for him. He's just too exposed, and also his own defense team said he's known to have a hot temper. Not a good thing when you're on the witness stand.
It seems like these high-profile defendants always act like they're going to take the stand. They want to take the stand, then never want to take the stand. All right, so the latest timeline before today was that the prosecution was going to wrap on Friday, then we're going to get to the defense's version of things next week. Obviously, that's all been pushed back now.
It totally has been pushed back. And on Friday, the last or next to the last prosecution witness is this man, Brendan Paul, former Syracuse University basketball player, former Diddy assistant, who's the alleged drug mule that we all saw with him in Miami on the day of the raid in March of 2024. So that'll be Friday and Monday possibly. Prosecution probably wraps up at the earliest late Monday night or Tuesday. We'll see. And then comes a defense case.
Yeah, so 2 to 5 days maybe for that. So it looks like now this is going into the July 4th
the week going into the 4th of July. And you can't rush the jury. And also the judge has to be careful too, because he can't keep saying we want to be done by the 4th of July, because whether you like Diddy or don't like him or think he's guilty or think he's not guilty, he deserves a fair trial and not according to somebody else's schedule. He's looking at the possibility of life behind bars.
Prosecutors in the Sean Diddy Combs trial are close to wrapping up their case. This morning, one of Diddy's former personal assistants was on the stand. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley is live at the courthouse. Sharon, what did he have to say?
Yeah, we heard some jaw-dropping testimony. This trial resumed just about 3 hours ago at 9 o'clock this morning here in Lower Manhattan. And the star witness for today, Brendan Paul. Now, he struck a deal, an immunity deal with prosecutors in exchange for his testimony today. You can see him there. Paul was arrested at the same time the feds raided Diddy's L.A. and Miami mansions. He was charged at the time with felony cocaine possession at the airport after they found coke in one of his bags. Now, those charges were later dropped after he completed a pretrial diversion program. On the stand today, he testified that he routinely supplied Diddy with cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, and at sometimes ketamine. He also testified part of his job for what he described as a very demanding boss was preparing hotel rooms for the so-called freak-offs and cleaning up after the mess after multiple sex sessions. Now, after this testimony, prosecutors read more text messages between Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura, his ex-girlfriend, who much of this case is centered around. During those text messages, Ventura accuses Diddy of repeatedly beating her, naming other witnesses who saw it happen. She makes reference to the Met Gala ball. And Diddy responds in those text messages with profanity against her. Now, this trial is going to end about 1 o'clock this afternoon. It has a shortened day of testimony because one of the jurors has a personal conflict, has to get to a graduation. So the prosecution is not going to rest today. It's likely that will happen on Monday, and then the defense will pick things up. And we are expecting things possibly in this trial to be wrapped and go to the jury by the end of next week.